first, a word about the Field and Garden Podcast. The Field and Garden Podcast is a part of the Gardener's Workshop. The Gardener's Workshop has been telling the stories and how-tos of growing, selling, and helping others to pursue their flower-growing dreams for over 25 years. What began as one gardening enthusiast sharing her passion has grown into so much more. Over at thegardenersworkshop.com, find in print with our blogs and books and through our podcasts and videos and courses, and we have a shop full of the same tools, seeds, and supplies that you hear mentioned on our podcast. You can connect with all of these resources over at thegardenersworkshop.com. I hope you'll take some time to explore all we have for you. Welcome to the Field and Garden Podcast. Hey friends, welcome back to another Field and Garden podcast episode, and I'm so glad you dropped in here today. So if we've never met before, hey, I'm Lisa, and I'm so glad that you hit the play button, because I know you have a lot of choices, and we try really hard to execute our mission of meeting people where they are in growing cut flowers, whether it's for in your backyard for your kitchen table, or for starting your little flower farming business, or to expanding your horizons on your already started and you're knee deep in your flower farm. And that's kind of what we're all about here. So friends, if you want to learn more about what we're doing at the Gardener's Workshop, head on over to thegardenersworkshop.com, where you can kind of find out everything about us. It's our home base for our blog and podcasts, our tons of free resources of videos, as well as our library of online courses and our online garden shop that stocks all of my books, seeds, tools, and supplies that you hear me mention here on the podcast. So friends, we want to equip you not only with the knowledge, but with what you need to start a cut flower garden on all levels. So today, it's kind of a special day. So it's Thursday, June 29th is the day that I'm recording this. And tomorrow, June 30th, is my official final deadline for my most recent book, the Cut-Flower Handbook. And for the first time ever, I'm actually ready. The manuscript has already been submitted earlier, but the next step, or the step that I, excuse me, the manuscript deadline was April 30th. Then the images, the pictures, I had until June 30th, which is tomorrow. So we have been feverishly taking images for a year. Tomorrow's the last day. Well, I tend to leave the captions until the last job. And that's what I've been doing these past weeks, is doing the captions. And I actually finished yesterday, which is not like me. Usually I would be up at the last hour on the deadline day doing that. So it's pretty exciting, and we have to take 3 images tomorrow, and then I will be done. And what this has brought me around to is I thought I would share with you some of the big picture thinking that I've kind of been doing. I mean, this is a project that's been going on for 2 years. It depended on which time it was totally consuming my days. I couldn't really even focus on other stuff. So I have put life on hold while this project's been going on. So I just kind of really feel like I would share with you what I'm thinking right now. But first, the new book, which is called the Cut-Flower Handbook, is coming out February of 2024. And friends, I just can't wait for it to be in your hands. It is going to be a hardback, 8x10. I think it's 225 224 pages, 225 images. And friends, this is the book if you say, I have a question about this flower, or how do I start a cutting garden and maintain it and do what you're doing? You could hand them this book and that will lead them down that path. And I just couldn't be more excited about it. So we have a wait list that you'll find down in the show notes. And that if you get on the wait list, that means that we will notify you when the book is available. And when books are purchased from here, from the Gardener's Workshop, not only will I sign it, but we have a little extra special resource that'll be coming along with it. And that is the flowers that didn't make the book. And they didn't make the book because they were second rate. They didn't make the book because we just didn't have room to add all of them in there. And we would love to provide you with that resource. So you can also just go to the product page for the book at thegardenersworkshop.com, and on there it has a get notified, and that's the list you want to be on. And it's, gosh, y'all, I mean, it's just, I can't believe it's done. You never realize how much work it is until you're in the throes of it. Then you think the work is never going to end. Then as the work ends, and there's still work to be done, but now the publisher is bringing together the manuscript, the images, the captions, and the illustrations, and designing the book and laying it out. And so a lot of work is still going on, but my work is done. And then I have to review it and approve it, but somebody else will actually be executing it. So it's just a really, really happy day for me. And so now what? Well, my business, as well as everyone's business, should be constantly evolving. And it doesn't matter if, you're just starting out growing and you just have a few bouquet subscriptions, is kind of what you're doing. Or if you're, wall-to-wall flowers and just going at it full throttle. All businesses, to stay healthy and moving forward, have to always be evolving, meaning changing, meaning dropping stuff. And it's not even that maybe it's not working for you anymore. It's that there's new things on your horizon that I'm always trying to meet the needs of our customers. And those change all the time. And you have to change your business for that. And it's really hard. You can't just keep adding stuff. You have to also cut stuff. And that's kind of something that I've really been working on and really looking in this next year to really let go of some things that, might be okay, but we have brighter things on our future, things that customers want more. And it's as big a part of your job to let go as it is to reach out and grab. And so listening to your customers, whether it's conversations at your farmer's market booth, if I had listened to one of my customers 2 decades ago that asked me every week for sunflowers, which I didn't have back then, I occasionally had them, I would have started my weekly sunflowers long before I did. But I was so consumed, hot, and exhausted. It just never sunk in. I never, ever connected the dots. So what is my plan? Well, first off, one part of the way that my business has evolved is, whether you know it or not, about 3 years ago now, this is our 3rd season of not actually directly selling our flowers. We still grow tons of flowers, but we grow it as an educational garden to support, our courses, my books, our resources that we need to build all the time, and our shop and show. Our shop and show has really evolved, y'all. So we have a phone app. You can go to your app store and search Gardener's Workshop and get it. And it's a platform that allows us to do basically like QVC does, right? Show you stuff and how it works and how to do it and all that. And you can just hit the button and buy. And we learned about it, it's just about a year ago. And our focus when we first started was to be able to share with you the live harvest each week to show you the beautiful flowers and for you to be able to buy the seed and to hear, my take on each one of those things, right? Well, it's just grown into so much more. I mean, people wanted to see how we soil blocked and about different tools and supplies and timely manner. Anyway, so that show on Fridays at 12 noon Eastern time is live then, and it's really sharing our harvest, and that's a big part of what I grow for now. So I don't need 10 buckets of big, beautiful zinnias. I need 1 bucket of big, beautiful zinnias every week. I don't need, oh my gosh, y'all, I have such a celosia problem. I don't need 20 buckets of all the different celosias that were just such a huge part of our growing operation. I need 2 buckets with 15 to 20 stems of each one of those. And so that is my challenge that I'm facing right now, is that our garden is way bigger than what our true need is. And so my goal, which is really starting to come together, or my plan, is to see how much I can get from how little. Meaning I am shrinking my garden down to the size that so many of you reach out to me to say you have. And I'll be sharing in the future that exact size. But I am shrinking that garden down and will be squeezing at every stem out of it as possible with succession planting to have the lion's share as our cool flower garden. Spring is the highest demand. Why would you not have the most flowers the earliest you possibly can there, right? So I have this plan that's coming together, and my garden's going to be much smaller. And I have to tell y'all, it's really scary to me about not having just bed after bed after bed after bed. But that's just not what I need, at least for the next year, right? Because here's the thing. It's a plan. You can always change the plan. You can add to the plan. You can go smaller than the plan. That's the thing about it being your business, right? You get to make all the choices. So yesterday evening, I actually went out and did a little harvesting in the evening because I have a lot to cut today, and it's just me. Bobo is off this week. And I thought, and while I was out there, it just gave me really time to think. And I confirmed where I am planting cool flowers. And why is that so important right now? Because you don't want to be planting your next successions there. You don't want to be planting long-term fall blooming stuff where your cool flowers are going to go, because then that makes you plant your cool flowers late. And so it's working out quite beautifully, actually. So I'll be either tarping or buckwheating the beds where cool flowers are going to go as the crops that are in there now start to end or peter out and I start pulling them out. So I know where I'm going to be planting cool flowers. And I also know when I'm going to be planting cool flowers. And what that leads me to do is to sit down with that calendar and count back. All right, I know, what my target date is. And of course, weather screws with you and all that kind of stuff. But I can count back and say, so that means that we would be starting transplant seeds on this time frame. And that means that I need to have all of my seeds and all of my supplies available. Because friends, let me just tell you, one of the biggest problems that people share with us all the time. Oh my gosh, Is it too late for me to plant cool flowers? I didn't get my seed on time, or I had to wait, or the beds were full of blooms like I was just expressing to be sure not to plant stuff that Bobo is planting now for fall blooms. Don't plant those where cool flowers are going. There's just this long list of issues that people face, and it just takes time. It happens. I mean, it's because I suffered from all of those issues over and over again. But I think because at this time of the year, we are so overwhelmed. It's hot. We're tired. There's a lot of work. The weeds are just killing us, right? It's so easy to not even think about the most important season of the year, spring. It's the easiest time to sell flowers, y'all. And so we have to move it to the front seat. And now is the time to do that. So for me, I don't know exactly what I'm growing. Don't think you have to sit down and plan out which snaps are you going to grow, how many, which of this, which of that, because I haven't done that. What I know is where I'm going to be planting them, how many beds I'm going to be having available, and when. I'm getting my ducks in a row right now, right? I'm gathering my stuff and making sure that I understand what I need to do, and also, are there any new things that I want to add to the mix? And you know what I mean? Now's the kind of time to do all of those things. And I'm super excited because, it doesn't matter how much help you have. It doesn't matter how big and successful you look. It doesn't matter how much experience you have. By nature of the people that tend to be flower farmers, we always grow more than we can take care of. We always grow more than we can sell, which is the point, right? Because that way you never run out. So squeezing down is really, really hard. And I'm really looking forward to, in my mind, thinking, all right, if I only have this big a garden, then I really ought to be able to do this really well, right? I mean, not everything getting netted on time, everything being mulched properly or in film properly or weeded properly. And you know what I mean? It's like, all right, I really ought to be able to do this really well. So that's where my focus needs to be instead of having endless beds. I mean, y'all, this past spring, I had 3 50-foot beds of snapdragons. Unless you're selling a lot of flowers, you just do not need that. So now I am really going to push, that mix that we made, the TGW Dragon mix, which is several different varieties of snaps in different shades, meaning because, they bloom at a little bit different timing. So if I want to have, there's 4 shades, pink, yellow, white, and sunset. So, I can plant the dragons and get all the different varieties in that shade instead of having to plant all the different colors of each individual different type of snap. And I'm thinking, I haven't decided yet, I'm thinking that's what I'm going to do for snaps this year. Will I be brave enough to just plant those? I don't know. There's always challenges. So this big picture thinking is super important in the month of July because we've already started those sweet williams that need vernalization. That's a cold period. And that's Electron, and also a new one that we're bringing back is called Super Duplex, which is super beautiful. You can see it in the phone app. You can go in there and search Super Duplex, and that it has a video attached. That's the really cool thing about the phone app, y'all. There's so many great features. This is why we have a big website, which doesn't have these features, is not available. And then why we keep the phone app. Each time I talk about a new product on the app, it saves that clip to that product so you can go in and watch it. So Super Duplex and Electron both need a cold period, which means they need to be started and gotten in the ground before the regular cool flower time frame. They're like true biennials. So we've already got those started. And if you want to have cabbage, kale, the long cut flower stems, crane is what we like, is the one that we grow. Those need to be started now so that you'll have those at Thanksgiving. So, it is time to be thinking about all this stuff, because fall is only second to spring in the biggest selling season. And it's so funny. Jonathan and Megan Lease of Springforth Farm in North Carolina, sweetest young family ever. It started several years ago, and they talk about it in their online course, the No-Till Microscale Flower Farm, about how they began years ago stopping harvesting and selling in summer. Because they have a young family and they wanted to vacation, and they're big homesteaders, and they wanted to have time to homestead, grow vegetables and put stuff up. So back during the course, when it was developed, they stopped selling, I think, the end of June. Well, they have just further continued to tweak that down, and now they stop their harvesting and selling the end of May. And they talk about that because they have a private Facebook group that goes with their course. It is such a business model that is being embraced by so many farmers today, because now we realize that there's not just one business model of flower farming. You can create your business model. And that's what I'm trying to embrace now, to think, all right, Dave Dowling and I were just talking about when we started 2 decades ago, we just grew as much as we could, as early and as late as we could, and then sold it all. That was the model we had. We had no model. We just did it, and we did it wide open. And it doesn't need to be that way. It can be that way if you want to, but there are so many options. If you want to take the winter off, then you might be a summer grower. If you want to take the summer off, that might mean you're a shoulder season, meaning spring and fall potentially, or just spring. You know what I mean? There's just so many options. Big picture thinking, y'all. And now is the time to be thinking about the highest demand season. I would recommend that you grab your Cool Flower book, spend a little time just reviewing it. There's some great resources. Be sure there's a video series called the Cool Season Flower Chronicles, where it's 5 videos that are 30 minutes or less each. And I address the most common questions that I get about growing cool season hardy annuals for spring blooms. And we'll put the link to that in the show notes also. And so those are just quick things. And you can just listen to those videos like a podcast. So, friends, super excited. The book is done for all intents and purposes. And now I am on to the big project of the little garden that could. Maybe that's what I should call it, right? All right, folks. Remember, if you want to learn more about what we're doing, thegardenersworkshop.com, and also mine and Dave Dowling's courses are now available anytime. We have a closed Facebook group where you can reach out to us in there. There's thousands of cataloged questions in each course that is keyword searchable. And it's just a piece of your foundation, the stepping stones to building your flower farming business. And we love being a part of it and helping you find your way. All right, friends, until we meet again, ciao.